United States labor unions are notorious for their strict health and safety requirements and regulations, urging that they take care of their workers and their health. But are such regulations actually protecting laborers? Although union injuries are higher in percentage and statistics, non-union jobs are more dangerous because of the decreased accountability taken by their workers and employers for their injuries. Think about when you were taught how to be safe around an outlet, how to properly plug in and unplug electrical items, and what you needed to do to be safe. You knew that you could be shocked, but progressively you got less and less scared to interact with the outlet because you were confident in your ability to traverse it. However, one day you inevitably get shocked. You never stuck a fork in the outlet, but you still ended up getting hurt, even though you thought you were following all the rules. This is exercised within unions as well. Having a protective parenting body, such as OSHA, removes an individual's responsibility for their own safety. As stated in Alejandro Donato's 2014 article titled, Why do unionized workers have more non-fatal occupational injuries? He mentions how insurance-covered workers and union workers are of increased risk of injury by 8.34 and 8.39% respectively. Donato argues that the knowledge of someone else being responsible for one's safety causes the individual to be less aware of their own safety, thinking that that responsibility falls onto someone else and not their own. This can be catastrophic in an environment where you constantly have to be on your toes, making sure that you are perceiving your environment to its entirety to properly maintain safety regulations. Such a diverse workforce, it is also important for construction unions to look at and traverse language barriers. According to an article published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics on October 9th, 2015, 27.3% of construction workers were of Latino ethnicity. With 1/4 of the labor force speaking another language, it is important to have instructions and safety regulations that can traverse language barriers. This causes for the use of illustrations frequently. For example, with a turtle and rabbit representing speed settings, or gas cans being red and diesel being yellow. As shown in a study published by Dr. Janie Gittleman on May 9, 2007 for the American Journal of Industrial Medicine, titled An English-Spanish Safety Climate Scale for Construction Workers, the introduction of Spanish with these symbols causes for no discrepancy in the amount of injuries across workers' ethnicities. What this means is that with the introduction of using Spanish instructions and language in the workforce, there is no discernible difference in the amount of work injuries between English native speakers and Spanish native speakers, thus concluding that a language barrier is not responsible for such discrepancy in injuries. One final and perhaps the largest cause for such a discrepancy in the amount of injuries is simply from the lack of reporting. In a study published by Jeffrey Taylor Moore for the 2013 International Journal of Occupational Safety and Ergonomics, it is pointed out that from a sample of 37 construction companies, 67% of workers had not reported an injury that they had seen, and 18% of workers had not reported an injury of their own. There were many given reasons by the workers as to why they did not report their injury, but the two biggest identified by the studies were, quote, it being too much trouble, with 43% of workers giving that as an excuse, or, quote, being afraid, with 26% of workers giving that excuse. The unjust stress associated with fixing the work injury is what prevents said injuries from being reported. Workers are discouraged from getting compensated for whatever may have taken place in the work field because of the adverse effects that are most likely to come with it, despite how they may be protected. Non-union workers have less protection from these injuries, and so they fear losing their jobs and will decide to use paid vacation and paid time off instead, or to simply work while they're injured, worsening their condition. For these reasons, the discrepancy may simply be because of the lack of reporting from non-union workers for fear of losing their jobs. Although unions may have higher reported injuries, the fear of not being compensated ruins the non-union workers' desire to document the injury. This causes inhumane treatment of laborers who are killing themselves without compensation, possibly without even the knowledge of upper management. It is important to take work safety and injury reporting seriously for the sake of yourself and all future workers.